I'm Dana Han-Klein here with Andie MacDowell for Love After Love.
I would love to know what you admire most about your character in Love After Love.
Oh, wow. Well, she's very multi-layered and complex. So there's so much to do. There was so much there. It's an amazing journey that I get to go on, because in the beginning you see this woman who's very lively and sexy and confident and artistic and really happy and bold and all of these things, and she just crumbles. You see how devastated, how she works really hard for her husband as he's sick, and then you see her just crumble, and then you watch her come back. So it was an amazing journey to get to go on.
Emotionally or logistically, what do you think the most challenging scene to shoot was?
I think little things that ended up appealing to me much better than I realized they were going to. Like the scene that after he dies and the woman sits down with me, the hospice woman, and we were going over what's going to happen. I actually shot that with the director. I did it with the director, read the lines, and my personal feeling is, when I did it, we just did it like 2 or 3 times. We didn't work it very hard. And I was insecure about it, and I wasn't really sure I had done a good job, and I kept saying, did I do okay? Are you sure we got that? And when I watch it, I think it was really good work. But you don't know sometimes. Sometimes you feel like you've got this great scene, you're gonna make all this effort, and then something else you barely even feel you've done anything, and it turns out to be quite powerful.
Have there been any moments in such an impressive career, have there been any moments where you're like, I don't think we got that, and then everyone's suddenly like, that's the best scene of this movie, or anything like that, that stand out to you?
I think a lot of times you feel like you didn't do something, and you just don't. You can't really process it. I think maybe most of the time I think I'm correct.
I think I know. That's why I hired you.
But you don't always know. You just don't. You don't always know. I don't think that you can be in the scene and be the participant watching it all the time. You just can't do both things. You're in the scene, and you need to take advice from other people.
Who are some of the people that you look to for advice and have been mentors to you in your career?
Oh, wow. Well, I think early on I was a huge fan of Jessica Lange. I still am a huge fan of Jessica Lange, but I went and studied at the same place where she had studied, because I loved her so much, and also I just liked the vibe there. I liked raw actors. I liked actors they didn't look really highly technical to me. They looked more like emotional beings that got lost in the character. That really appealed to me, particularly in the beginning. I think every person that I've ever worked with, I've learned from. So I would include all of the people that I've worked with as my teachers. I've had some really amazing actors that I've gotten to work with. So I would include all of them as well.
If you could go back 25 years and give yourself a piece of advice, would you go back and give yourself advice? And if so, what would it be?
I think it's always good to stay in class, and you'll hear that, to stay in class and to work with people. And but I think if I were to give myself advice 25 years ago, it probably would be on a more personal level, like to wear shorts more. Because I was always extremely hard on myself. I think most young people are. They don't realize what they have, and they're really critical, and they don't embrace. It's like you don't appreciate youth until it's gone. It's the truth, I'm telling you. You don't even know that you have it until you're old and you can look back. And then you go, what was wrong with me? I was perfect. My legs were so amazing. If I could go back, I probably would walk around in like really skimpy shorts all the time. That's the kind of advice I would give myself.
That's good advice. Was there sort of a turning point where you're just like, I really don't care. Like, I don't care what other people think. Like, I'm going to do this for me.
I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. That's a daily process for me. I care about way too much. I worry too much. Yeah. I'm working on it though, constantly.
It's also probably what gives you the drive to do what you do. So, in a similar vein, how do you define success now, and do you think that's evolved since the beginning of your career?
Oh, let's see. I do think it has evolved. I think you have to feel good about the work, though. I mean, I think I've always known that, but I know it even more now. I think you have to have a personal connection to, and that is about not pleasing other people. That is about pleasing yourself. You have to know that that was good. I felt good about that, no matter what anybody says. I think that I do have that.
What inspires you?
What inspires me? Just in life in general.
Yeah, in life in general.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm inspired by people that have personal peace. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and she was talking about things that we're working on, and there was something that you could do she does spells, by the way.
Spells?
Like white magic.
Oh, okay.
And she was going to come to my house and do some spells, and she was doing, she was saying something about bringing money, and I was like, no, I just want to bring peace. I think that's really my greatest goal right now is peace of mind and personal peace. Just finding serenity. That's all I really care about.
On the flip side, what frustrates you?
No, we're laughing because I'm talking about, I'll tell you what frustrates me. It's very clear right now what frustrates me. I cannot stand people that just expect me to read emails about important information. I am low tolerance with modern day technology. I want people to pick up the phone. I do.
Really?
Yes, we have lost contact completely. Even within our personal lives, the people that are surrounding us in our daily activities always picked up the phone. And it's cold, it's demeaning to me as a person, as a human being, that people do not want to pick up the phone. And they just expect me to read their emails, and I'm not sitting around on the computer all day long. Pick up the phone. And I also think that people have lost decent courtesy and manners. The same people that are not picking up the phone. I mean, just take the time. Even if you don't mean it, just take the time to say, hey, how are ya? I'm sorry. And you can even not mean it, but you got to say it. You've got to say it.
They mean it.
Yeah, but they don't even have time. They don't have time. They just want to do their computer. They just want to send the email and expect you to pick it up.
So I hope this is not too personal, but when you call your kids, do you have conversations with them? Because when my mother calls me, I assume something bad has happened. But that's just because that's just what we've evolved to.
Well, I tell you, I used to do that to my kids. I used to say, what's wrong? And I learned, because I heard myself, and I was like, that's terrible energy. That's not good energy to answer the phone. What's wrong? That's a horrible response. And so I don't do that anymore. I've made a conscious effort to have a real conversation and ask about them and tell them about me. We do that. We actually have conversations.
Very impressive. It's keeping it alive.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish you had more time for? Aside from phone calls, apparently, or face-to-face contact.
Yeah, face-to-face. I really do miss. I think that we have lost. Technology has done so much for us. I think it's enhanced our lives in so many ways. It's made life easier, but in other ways, I think it's very detrimental. Even me, I have to watch myself not to waste time on technology because I don't think that it's real. So I would say more time for personal relationships, actually meeting people and talking to people. And
in the real world.
In the real world? Humans.
What's some of the best advice you've been given?
Oh, I know. It was just by accident when I was rather young. I think I had my son at the time. I read an article by this, I don't even remember who the man was. It was some big businessman who was highly successful. And in the article, he said, when you're older, you will look back on your life and you will not regret not working. You will regret not spending more time with your children. And it really made an impact on me. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to remember that. And it was a big part of my MO, of who I was. I really was a parent. It was more important to me to be a parent than to be a famous actress.
I'm sure your kids very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's some of the worst advice you've been given?
I don't know, funny things just flashing through my head. I remember one time, I was always trying to be skinny, right? Especially when I was a model, really tried hard. And I thought I was really skinny because I'd been starving. I'd been like doing some crazy diet, you know. I had lost like, you know, probably 3 or 4 pounds, so I felt really skinny. And I remember the stylist that day kind of tapped me on my hips and went like that. I wish I would have just taken him out. But it was devastating, you know, because that was it. That was it. That was my skinny. So I think anybody that ever did that to me would have been probably the worst advice, because there comes a point, you know, like for certain people, that's just you. That was my skinny.
I get it, trust me. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna be me, and like,
that was bad advice. I didn't really take it. I did let him affect me, though. He did affect me. I think I probably cried.
Are you excited by the sort of roles that sort of are open to you now?
I'm hopeful. You know, I want them to come tumbling in, but I am working. Yes, and I'm getting ready to do.
Lot.
I'm working. I'm getting ready to do a comedy. I like comedy. I like making people laugh. So, yeah, I enjoy comedy, so that's going to be fun.
What would you say your sense of humor is?
Oh, offbeat.
Offbeat?
I would say original, but we all think we have an original sense of humor, right? In general, I like deep, dark comedies, you know, real people, more complex, real people. But I can also this is much broader. So this is much kind of a wacko, broad comedy.
That's very
I'm just
exciting.
thankful I can do it. You know, I'm glad it's a part of my vocabulary and that I'm given the opportunity to do it.
What's a guilty pleasure of yours?
Guilty? I love chocolate. Is that guilty? But I feel no guilt.
Well, if you feel no guilt, it doesn't matter.
I feel no guilt. I'm trying to think of anything I feel guilty about.
If you don't, that's great. You've hit a certain level of enlightenment, I think.
I guess so.
Yeah. Living or dead, who is someone you'd like to collaborate with?
Living or dead? Damn, woman. Okay, let's see.
You're just getting weird with these.
Yeah, I know, but you're asking me some really smart questions. I don't know if I'm feeling smart enough right now to answer these questions. They're really good. I'd like to collaborate with. Oh, wow. I wouldn't mind working with Steven Soderbergh again. I would like to do that again. I mean, I always have fantasies of doing something with him again. That would be a lot of fun. I had great success with him. I'd like to do that again, Steven.
I hope you see this, Steven Soderbergh. That would be the dream. What's one of the most unexpected parts of being a part of the cultural zeitgeist for so long? Because you've been in the public eye for so long. Like you're a part of so many just historic movies. Like what's something that you kind of want people to know that's like unexpected about being that well known?
That they don't know about me?
Yeah.
About what it's like to be famous?
I guess. I feel like there's fleeting fame, right? There's like, oh, you've had your 15 minutes years or whatever, but you have been a staple and you are a part of so many people's lives and like, you know, art and all that stuff. Like what is that like? I guess you're right. What is it like being famous is the gist of that question.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what it's like. You start to ignore it. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I started not paying attention to it. So I don't see it, but I'll go out with people and they see it and they're fascinated by it. So they realize like people are staring at me and stuff, but I'm so accustomed to it, I just don't pay attention to it anymore. But I've gone out like with friends and traveled with friends and they're mesmerized by it because people were staring at me. But I don't even notice it anymore.
Was that like a weird adjustment, or is it just something that naturally happened?
I think it just happens over time. I just think you just become accustomed and you don't pay attention anymore.
That's very fair. I don't know. I'm a regular human being. I guess it's very rare that I get to ask that question
and
of someone who is willing to answer.
Fascinated by it. And I think there comes a time when you start to be at peace with it. I'm just at peace with it. So if I go somewhere and people come up, not unless I am in the most hideous of moods, I'm fine with it. It's just part of my life. And, you need to be thankful that actually people care about you, because that means they might have some attachment to your work. So it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. My very last question is, do you have any hidden talents?
I can make a clover with my tongue.
I will not ask you to do it. You can do it if you want, but
Okay, I can do that. I'm pretty good at tying knots with cherry stems. Yeah, right. I can do that too. Pretty fast, impressive. Pretty good.
Very impressive.
Trying me.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on this film. And thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you so much.